In the 1980s and 90s, there was a huge war, but probably not the kind you're thinking of. A war to turn millions of people towards one soft drink. I'm of course talking about the intense rivalry between Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Two of the biggest companies on earth waging an all-out battle to capture people's imagination and dominate the other as the coolest drink on the block. So strap in for this wild, incredible story of how Coca-Cola and Pepsi vied for world domination. For decades now, Coke has been dominating the market. But that hasn't always been the case. Pepsi and Coke have always been battling it out for the top spot, mostly through their marketing campaigns. The marketing of both companies appealed to the time and the age and created such a rivalry that marketing gurus across the globe stand in awe of it even today.
Hammering home the company's desire to be perceived as the young and rebellious upstart to Coca-Cola's more traditional ways.
Yes, and it's the choice of a new generation.
Lemon, lime, caramel, and even spicy flavor profiles have all found themselves with a Pepsi to their name.
Hey, guys, hey, guys. All I want is a Pepsi.
Sure, one could say that all of this variety tends to dilute interest in Pepsi as their main flagship, but the way we see it, the lack of a new Coke means that this round goes to PepsiCo.
No Coke, Pepsi!
Winner, Pepsi. Round 2, history. Although there is no one alive today who has lived in a Pepsi-free, Cokeless world, Coca-Cola is typically viewed as the more traditional of the big two colas. Coke's history began in 1886 with a pharmacist named John Pemberton, who marketed his Coke recipe, which initially did contain cocaine, as a cure-all tonic of sorts, promising that it would alleviate all sorts of physical ailments, from nervousness and anxiety to depression.
I want to make a fake medicine that made women think that they'll never be nervous or have farts.
This was, in fact, something Pemberton, a Civil War veteran nursing a morphine addiction, was very much in need of. However, the pharmacist would sell off his recipe and rights to Coca-Cola shortly after its initial success. Pepsi's origin story has similar beginnings. Created in 1893 by drugstore owner Caleb Bradham, Pepsi was also marketed as something other than just a pleasant...
Actually, we still teach it in business schools around the world.
Sometimes one brand is more successful than the other. That's why this is such a fantastic brand battle over the decades.
And to understand how, we might have to time travel back in history. Since its inception in the 1880s, Coke sales were steadily rising throughout the 1930s and 40s, mostly due to its stellar marketing campaigns. Coke's Santa Claus ads were a big hit as a drink that would bring you joy round the year. Unlike most brands at the time, both Pepsi and Coke didn't try to sell the effectiveness or quality of the product at first. They focused more on the values that their product had to offer. By the time World War II came around, Coke was everywhere. It was sold on all street corners and was advertised on billboards and posters. But the biggest